Hey everyone, Cable the Antique Book Collective, and by popular demand, I'm getting to you guys about a video about how to publish books on Amazon KDP. So guys, right off the bat, Amazon KDP, that is a platform that allows you, an individual person, to actually publish your books on Amazon, and they actually do that for free for you guys, which is absolutely fantastic. Of course, it's not the same as getting an actual publisher. An actual publisher will actually deal with all the things about your book. They'll market your book. They'll do all these sorts of things. Some of them are more hands-on. Some of them are less hands-on. It depends on the publisher. There are a lot of things called vanity presses out there that actually tell you that, hey, if you pay us this much, we'll publish the book for you. Don't do that. That is a scam. They are just trying to get your money. They are not going to put any work forward really to actually get sales on your books 99.9% of the time. So do not go after the vanity presses. When you get an actual publisher, the publisher will pay you up front. That's the thing. But most people will not actually end up getting a publisher because, let's face it, publishers are picky and they don't actually care about what a lot of people actually want to write about. So with that said and done though, guys, I'm just going to dive right on in. This is going to be a screen share sort of video, and it's going to be just more of a crash course. If you guys want a more in-depth thing, I actually have that in the members only side of the channel because this is not very related to actually having a real an eBay book reselling business or an antique book business. I'm just doing this video because you guys requested it, but the extra stuff is going to be in the members only area just because that is going to allow me to get a little more in depth, and it's going to be more work for me, but it's not really a paywall between the actual eBay business and this. This is just a side sort of thing that is a benefit to those of you that join the memberships sort of thing. So obviously, with that said and done, here I go. So guys, as you can see right here, we have the Amazon KDP dashboard area. So guys, there is an entire thing that you have to do to get this started in the very first place. You have to put in all your information, your tax info, where you live, all these sorts of things. All you have to do is go to kdp.amazon.com. I'm going to link to that down below. In fact, to make sure that I do, I'm going to write it down on the sticky note, link to KDP. So with that said though, guys, this particular thing, again, is what I like to use for my own books that I publish. I would scroll down and show you guys everything about everything, but I don't want to get my books out there, my full name out there. I'm trying to keep this separation between me, my eBay business, all these sorts of things, separate from the YouTube channel, just because I don't want to taint things with the with the YouTube thing. More accurately, I don't want all the YouTube trolls out there to bother me. There are so many YouTube trolls out there. So with that said though, guys, once you get all the stuff squared away though with Amazon and you get all your information in, you get your KDP account open, which is, again, quite simple, so I'm not walking you through that. Plus, I don't think I'm allowed to open up multiple accounts. I think that's just as not allowed here as it's not allowed to do an extra account on eBay. But with that said, you'll eventually get to this point right here where you get to Kindle Direct Publishing. It's your bookshelf, all that sort of stuff. It's really, again, quite simple to get to this point. But once we get here, let's face it, a lot of us are going to be thinking, okay, how in the world do I publish a book? What do I need to worry about, you know? Guys, it's 75 sorts of simple. So first thing you do, right here, create a title or series, This is all the information you really need to see. You could scroll down and you can actually see all the books that you've done down here in the bookshelf area. I'm not going to scroll down because I don't want to show off all the books that I've published, but I've published quite a few books. But with that said, you just literally just hit create, guys. It's easy stinking peasy. So once you get here, you can do the different kinds of stories and whatnot that they have. So I recommend, if you guys are publishing your very first book, to do a Kindle ebook and a paperback. If you want to get some more sales, and potentially these sales can actually net you some more money, you can do a hardcover book. That can do very well for people. Personally, for me, I don't get a whole lot of hardcover sales, but I do get enough that I would recommend that you guys, if you want to do this and be more serious about it, get your hardcover book out there. And it just adds an extra layer of panache. It makes you seem like more of a legitimate author. Next up, we have the series page. That's just if you guys are publishing multiple books. Not everyone will do that, and series doesn't always apply to what you guys are writing, so keep that in mind when you guys are doing that. Finally, we have Kindle Vella, which is more geared towards fiction, but it's also geared towards a whole lot of inappropriate fiction. So I actually initially used Kindle Vella when it first dropped, but then I pulled out because there was just so much inappropriate stuff there that I was like, yeah, I don't want to do anything with that. Y'all are on your own. With that said though, guys, I'm just going to focus on these first three right here right now. This is what this entire publishing thing is going to be about. So guys, publishing the ebook, paperback, and hardcover is all very similar things, so I'm only going to walk through one specific thing. There are going to be a couple small differences between all these things, but let's just go through just the ebook to really get things through our heads. Before I do that, though, I do want to highlight there are minimum prices that you can charge for paperbacks and hardcovers. Of course, a lot of you guys are probably going to be thinking, oh, I'm going to charge $20 for my book, so obviously you're going to be above the minimum for that. But if you guys want to go for the low-end strategy, there are minimums there. So with that said, just hit create ebook. Really simple, loads right on up. It's really fast. What you are supposed to do then from there is do your book title and your subtitle. So a lot of people will put way too many keywords into their book title and subtitle. Don't do that. Keep it to a minimum. Amazon does not like it when you game the system with keywords. Of course, you guys might want to do that when you are doing your eBay listing and these sorts of things. This is not the same thing. So let's just say I'm going to write a nonfiction book about book selling. So I'm not going to capitalize just to bother people. Selling. Ooh, actually, I'm gonna do all sorts of capitalizing just to bother people. No, I can't do that. That's actually bothering me. So with that said, though, guys, I'm just doing selling books. Actually, let's do selling antique books on eBay the easy way. Honestly, guys, I might end up writing books about all this just for you guys if you really want it. I hope you guys don't, but I could write a book if I really wanted. But that right there would be a very good book title. Of course, there's a lot of tips and tricks to making a better book title to have it so you do game the system a little bit, because you can game the system a smidgen. But for me, this right here is I have the keywords that I really want. So selling books, but not just books, but antique books. That sort of goes after what I want. It's going to be a very niche audience, but it's going to be a good one. And then it's on eBay, so selling books on eBay, that's another keyword sort of thing that someone will potentially look up. And then the easy way, that's something that you want to do if you guys are doing a sort of how-to sort of thing. You want to say it's the easy way, or in 5 steps. Oh, sorry guys, sorry for hitting you. So maybe say done in 5 steps. Sorry. Potentially that could be something you want to have as your full title. And then after that, actually I'm going to move this microphone before I hit you guys again. So excuse me for the previous hit. All right, here we go again. So next up we have the subtitle. And this is where people normally do a whole lot more keyword stuffing is what people call it. So right here I would say probably an easy guide to e-commerce. That's literally all that I would do for this particular subtitle. You can, of course, do more. You can do less. You can not even include a subtitle. As you guys can see, it's optional, but it is something that you guys can do. Obviously, if you are going to write something else not like this, you're going to sort of mix and match your particular title, subtitle, all that sort of stuff. Don't get hung up on it whatsoever. When you're dealing with an ebook, you can actually change the title whenever. If you're doing paperback or hardcover, you can't change the title, so keep that in mind. But just play with things. Figure out what you want. Next up is series details. This is where you would put in your series stuff if you are doing a series. This one's not a series, so that doesn't matter. Edition number, it's optional. You guys don't need to deal with it because it doesn't matter. Next up, we have our author stuff. So obviously my name just popped up here, so I need to censor name. But let's see. Excuse me really quick. Sorry, guys. So then we have our name right here. So let's just say my name is Antique Book Collective, because that's obviously what my legal name is. And I cannot spell, guys, it's so hard to spell when you are doing a video. Next up, you have contributors. Amazon gets a little weird if you do too many things with contributors here, so try to keep it minimal, but obviously you add your authors, editors, all these sorts of things. Add that as it seems fit. Next up is description, guys. So many people, I guess, like author people, they get so hung up with their description. So honestly, you can hop onto ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT about your book. Be like, hey, can you make me a description about this book? Here's what it's about, da-da-da-da-da. And it can actually make you a good description about your book. Of course, there's going to be things that you'll want to tweak, but that just allows you to do things properly. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. So I'm just going to say this is a awesome book about books. Great. Obviously you guys will want to obviously you guys will want to do more than that as far as the description goes, but don't go overboard, because people are not going to read a novel in order to get to buying and reading your novel. You want to keep things short. Obviously you want to have your sales copy be as snappy as possible. With that said, on to publishing rights. So you own your own copyright stuff, yada da da da, if you actually wrote the book. Or if you're stealing other people's stuff, it's public domain work, depending on what sort of stuff you're stealing. So by stealing, I'm talking about books that are, in my case, an antique book like this. That is going to be public domain because there are rules for what is public domain and what is not. As you guys can see, there's a whole click down thing that you can say can view more about public domain work. I'm not getting into that. That's not what this video is about, but that's going to be what we go into in the member side of things. With that said, on to this next part. So is there inappropriate stuff? I say no, because I'm not a pervert. Next up, you put in the age. It says it's optional, but Amazon seems to be pushing people towards doing it. So for me, with what I write, I like to have it so it's like 13 to 18 plus. Sometimes when you do that, it actually defaults to having it so it's just meant for 13 to 18-year-olds, which can be a little bit annoying. It can sort of hurt how far your reach is, but at the end of the day, it is something that you potentially will end up being forced to do. You can also leave it empty, but sometimes Amazon will throw a little tantrum on stuff like that. Next up is your primary marketplace. For me, it's .com. It should default to wherever you live, but just in case it doesn't, you can change that. On to the next part. This is sort of where the money can be, guys, is category selection. It can be all sorts of messy. I'm not getting into that in this video, but basically you select your categories that you are in. I'm just clicking random things here. Probably clicked the wrong random thing there, but as you guys can see, you could just sort of click random things for this. You can click up to 3. It used to be up to 10 that Amazon would automatically sort of put you into, but you could select 2. I like this new one where you can just do 3, but just going to hit save categories. As you can see, it does that. And again, those are just random categories. This is not necessarily what I would do for this particular book. The reason why I'm not getting into that for this is just because, guys, it is such a giant mess that you eventually have to sort through for this entire thing. So when you're doing this, take your time, go through every individual one, see what really applies to your book. I would recommend even going on to Amazon and typing in something that's like your book. So for me, I would type in on Amazon selling books on eBay, something like that, a book about selling books on eBay, and then I would scroll on down to where it says what categories that's in, and I'd basically just copy those categories down. I'll get more into that in the members only side of things. Next up, we have keywords. It's optional, but a lot of people highly recommend you do it. For me, it used to help me, I'm going to say game the system. That's not really what I mean, but it's sort of what I mean. But when you do the keywords thing, it can actually, it used to at least, allow you to push Amazon towards actually putting you in a specific category. Since they've changed the whole category thing and how they do categories, they did that a few months ago. I don't think that's quite how it works anymore, but it is something that you can put in to help your book show up for different things. So for me, I would do book selling and stuff like that, where it's not in my title. So this one, it's selling books, but maybe book selling is something that I want to have. And you basically just go for the tangential search queries, sort of things that people would type in on Amazon to try to have your book show up for those specific things. Obviously, don't spam it with a whole bunch of things that have nothing to do with your book, but it can definitely help. With that said, type in if you're ready to do it, or if you want it to do a pre-order. Not getting into that for this particular one, but then you hit save and continue. Nice and simple. You can also save your thing as a draft, which is again also very nice and simple, but not something that I'm worrying about here. Next up, you can do digital rights management. Up to you guys if you do that. Not getting into that at all. Then you just upload your manuscript. So excuse me right now as I just let's just say I'm going to grab a random story that I have. So for me, guys, again, I mentioned that I write my own books. So there's one. I'm just going to do this random story right here, and excuse me as I blur out a lot of this stuff, just because I again want to have the entire separation between me and y'all's. But next up, you can do your cover stuff. If you have your own cover, which I recommend doing, you can do it here, or you can use Cover Creator, which I personally hate with a burning passion. I think it's absolutely clunky and terrible, but it is something that you guys can do. So with that said, I'm going to actually do this for you guys on Cover Creator, because I do not want to have even more of my information out there and bother you guys with more stuff. But you can basically just use Amazon stuff, or you can create your own cover. So this book right here, here's the title, here's the title, here's the author, and then the subtitle. Let's just say I like this, which I absolutely do not. I think it's atrocious, but let's just say that I'm going for this. So just hit save, or you can start over, all that sort of stuff. For me, I'm hitting save and it's not working just yet. maybe it's done. Again, guys, I haven't done Cover Creator because I personally hate it. Maybe it wants me to change something, so I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger. 18 point is not bigger. That is too big, so let's take it back to 36. 36 is a little too large, but maybe I can stretch it out. Doesn't look like I can, which is a bit of a bummer. 28 should fit. And then after that, can I move this? Man, as I said, guys, the entire Cover Creator thing is absolute turd on Amazon. So let's just say I like this one. So it says it's saved, so I'm going to go back to this. Amazon can be a little weird for navigating stuff. It looks like there's an X up here as well, so maybe I'll hit the X. Fingers crossed. Looks like that did work, so back to this. We have this. It's mad at me because I don't have a table of contents just yet. You guys will want to put in a table of contents. When you guys are actually doing this, you can do a whole lot of different things. There's something called Kindle Create, which helps you format your stuff. I'm not getting into that for this particular video. There are other people out there on YouTube that teach you guys all this sort of stuff, or you guys can do it in the members only area where I do get into this a little bit more. Again, it's not really the focus of my channel at all, so I'm not going to really hold your hand through the entire thing on the member side of things, but I'm going to show you enough that you really got what you need to get. Looks like it might have not saved my cover, which is devastating. That was a beautiful cover. Oh, maybe I have to preview it first. That's weird. Again, guys, I've never done the Cover Creator because I absolutely hate it. I think it's way too clunky. A lot of people will actually use Canva to create it. If you are on an absolute really tight budget, you can create it on Canva. There is a lot of things that you should be cautious about when doing that, but it works for those of you that want to use that. For me, though, I personally like using Photoshop. I think Photoshop is awesome. With that said, I think we should be done. Okay. Oh, it's mad at me for using a placeholder image. What do I have? Ooh, they have a gallery. That's neat. I'm going to use this one with goats because goats are terrible. All right. Now I can hit preview. Maybe it'll accept me now. I didn't actually know it didn't like the placeholder thing. But guys, you can literally make a cover using Microsoft Paint. Of course, those covers are not going to sell as much because it's obviously a low-tier thing that isn't important to you, obviously. If you're just putting out something out that's trash, people will perceive that it's trash and they won't like it as much. But that is something that you guys can fiddle with. Next up is a really important thing that Amazon recently added, and that is talking about AI. So if you guys write your book, quote unquote, but you actually had ChatGPT make it for you, Amazon wants to know that, and you have to tell them that. If you make your cover using Midjourney or Dolly or what's the other one that's really big? I can't remember it off the top of my head. Stable Diffusion, there we go. If you use any of those, Amazon wants to know that as well. They have a whole lot of things for that. You guys could check that out. I'm not getting into that for this particular one. And my amazing book about writing stuff is obviously not AI because I actually wrote it. Next up, you have to do the preview thing. Because I did this particular thing right here, it actually is not letting me preview just yet, so I'm actually going to end the screen share for a little bit to let it load up, and I'll be right back with you guys in a minute. Alright, and we're back at long last. So guys, this, again, it was just loading on up. You can now preview the book. You guys will have to preview the book if you want to accept it and move on to the next step, or else Amazon will basically yell at you. But as you guys can see here, it'll actually check for spelling errors. Obviously, this story that I put up actually has a lot of spelling errors because it's just a rough draft, and I'm sure it has other errors beyond that, but that is something to keep in mind. With that said, though, guys, it has all the different things that you can deal with, but all that really matters is just hitting Launch Previewer. Once you see that, I highly recommend you guys actually go through the entire book, especially if you are new to this entire thing. You can check it for all the different things. You can do all these sorts of things, but it's up to you guys for that as far as that's concerned. So with that said, though, let me just go on and say that, let's say I finished checking this book out. I think it's really cool. Once you do that, just hit back. I think it's weird because I haven't seen a thing that says like accept I think it's cool, something like that, which is quite interesting. But That's Amazon's issue for another day. Next up is ISBN. This is optional. ISBNs cost a lot of money, so you don't need to do that for an ebook, so I would recommend not doing that. If you guys are doing hardcover or paperback, Amazon can actually provide the ISBN number for you, which is so stinking cool. However, all the books that you sell with the ISBN number must be sold through Amazon, so that can mean that you can buy these books yourself and then sell them on eBay, sell them wherever else, but it has to come from Amazon, from Amazon's printers, because they paid for these ISBN numbers. So with that said, hit save and continue, onwards and upwards. It's going. Rolling ball of doom. Okay, we got it. All right, next up is enroll your book in KDP Select. That allows you guys to just make a little bit more money. If you have just one book out there, there's a good chance that you won't get a whole lot of KDP Select reads. Additionally, a lot of people that do KDP Select are going to be big fiction readers. They're not always non-fiction readers, but there are non-fiction readers out there that do use KDP Select. So it's up to you guys if you want to do that. I actually got into that a little bit more than what I wanted to for this particular video, so you guys got lucky. With that said though, on to this next thing. You could say what you want. For me, I do all territories every single time because it just lets me sell my stuff to more people. Excuse me. Primary marketplace, we already selected that earlier on, so you can't actually change it no matter how many times you click, so don't worry about that one. On to this next part is the royalty plan. I know everyone wants to click, oh, I want to sell my book for 70%, but your book might not be worth the minimum price to be 70% of a royalty, because that means it has to be worth it. It has to sell for at least $2.99, but then it can sell for a maximum of $9.99. So if you guys want to sell your book for more than $9.99, you actually have to just select the 35% option, and that lets you get up to $200. However, with the 35% option, it also lets you go lower. In this case, 99 cents. So for me, I would say for this book, I think this book is absolutely amazing. This is the best book I ever wrote. This book about selling books on eBay. It's going to help everyone do everything. So I would recommend, if you guys are doing that, if you think you're all that and like a box of chocolates, I would recommend you guys go on to Amazon, type in your book again, like something that would be like your book, type that in, see what everyone else is charging. So let's just say for me, all the other people are basically all traditionally published, which means they got the big fancy publisher, and they're all asking $15 for the ebook. For me, I'm independently published, and Amazon does broadcast that you are independently published, and people generally want to pay less for something like that. So if they're charging what they're charging for that, I might have to charge a little bit less. So I would charge $9.99, or potentially I'd charge $7.99. So for me, let's say I'm doing $7.99 for this book, and for the paperback version, I would charge a little bit more than that. Maybe I'd charge $15 or $14, somewhere in there, because the other people would be charging for their paperback books, let's say $20 or $25. Whenever you're doing traditionally published stuff, basically you have to treat yourself like you're selling a used book. That's what people sort of expect with a lot of the traditionally published market. Of course, there are plenty of people who charge more than that. Potentially your book is worth more than that. You guys can always change your prices whenever you want, which is so nice. You can change them whenever you want, and it just takes a little bit for Amazon to accept the changes, and they will accept it 99.999% of the time. I've never had them not. But then you just go on to the other countries and what prices you want there. So for the UK, I'm going to change it to 99. People like seeing prices that end with 99 or potentially 49, something like that. With that said, though, let's just say I am perfectly okay with that. I like all of this. And then you just hit publish, and then you just have to wait up to 72 hours, as it says right here. And your book is actually live on Amazon, which is fantastic. I generally have, especially for ebooks right now, I generally have it accepted within a few hours, but it can take up to 72 hours. So keep that in mind. With all that said and done, though, guys, back to the big screen, Caleb. I'd just like to say again, that's all you really need to do and know how to do for publishing your book on Amazon. It's quite straightforward. It's quite easy, and a lot of people really enjoy doing it. Amazon recently changed it, so you actually have a limit on how many books you can upload. And they did that because so many people that were doing all the AI things were like uploading 1 million books a day, and Amazon's just like, no, stop. There's no way these are actually good quality. So you do have a limit now. That's the biggest caveat right now about that. But there are a lot of other things that are really cool about this whole platform. And yeah, you are limited. So if you guys did publish, if you did write 100 books, you're going to have to wait a long time to publish all those, a little over 30 days. So keep that in mind. But for a lot of us, this is all you really need to know to get along and get going on good stuff. Of course, again, I'm doing another plug for the membership side of things on this one, but if you guys want to learn about formatting the books, because people charge an arm and a leg for formatting, or all the other information that I'm going to be going over for like the member side of things for this, I know it's sort of lame to have a paywall for this, but it's not the focus of the channel. I don't want to like dilute the entire channel with a whole bunch of KDP things, because there's so much about KDP for that. So I'm going to make it the member only side of things, just to make sure the rest of the channel stays focused on Antique Book Collective and not antique books and writing books and everything else under the sun collective. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to make it into some convoluted thing. So that's the main reason why I'm doing it in the member only section. And in addition to that, members only section, they've been requesting this the most, so I'm doing this one specifically for them. But again, I've had some of you guys, normal subscribers, also request this, so this is all you guys are going to get for the KDP side of things. Though if you want more, it's in the members only section. Members of the channel do get extra say on what I show off in the channel. I don't think I'm going to be showing off too many things that are too far off from actual book related stuff or other things that actually impact our business, but hey, if enough of you guys ask for it in the members only section, maybe I'll go off on a little bit of a tangent for you. But again, that's going to be members only stuff, because that's where I'm going to do the more sort of life of Caleb sort of things, and also like the more other things that you guys might be potentially interested in that I actually might know a thing or two about. So with that said and done though, guys, please join the members thing. It helps